8 years of Buhari who destroyed this country. Let me ask you a question, Femi.
Okay.
What did he not say?
Nothing. They were quiet, especially the NGF.
Absolutely nothing. Okay, let's go beyond the north. What did we in the south say?
There was just a lot of rumbling.
Grumbling, but could anybody dare to challenge Buhari's government? In opposition in PDP was there. In fact, if you notice, maybe President Buhari was sworn into office. Olisametu wanted to be like Eli Mohammed and be a thorn in the flesh of government. He did it just 2 weeks. He was arrested. That was the end of anybody speaking from PDP against that government. They arrested opposition en masse. They went after opposition, and that was the end of opposition. Google is your friend. Watch my statements. I spoke against that government consistently for 8 years. I fought that fight. There's nothing, there's no threat. Like all the threats I'm getting right now, every single thing is normal.
You're getting threats at this moment?
Absolutely. My workers are even being threatened. They threaten my worker, tell them, oh, you guys tell your boss this, blah, 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 blah. You see, Nigerians take this uninformed, passionate approach to things.
This is Volume with FemiDlive. I'm glad you joined in. I mean, big thanks to everybody who has taken time to watch. Yes, the numbers are growing, and we're truly grateful for all that you do. I'm Femi Amele. I'm joined today by the presidential candidate of the ADC in the last election 2023, Mr. Dumebi Kachikwu. He provides an excellent perspective when it comes to politics, but also the fact that he is so much keen on the values that come within his own political party and the country at large. Some of those views he has expressed strongly in recent times, especially with his party appearing to be an umbrella for a coalition that is carefully being formed, even though yet to be defined. Extensively today, we would have a conversation with Mr. Kachikwu on some of the key areas that affect our national life and partly the build up to the 2027 election. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, Femi. All
right, well, the ADC as we know it, the political party ADC, was formed in 2005. And I was going through the mission earlier today, and I realized that some of the key things you helped shape, even when you got into the party, as part of the mission, was to make sure the ideas around godfatherism or people with big pockets don't get in there and, should I say, redirect the mission. But that's not where it stands now. That party is taking on many other missions in which I'm not sure is how you projected or perceived it to be as we stand now.
Yes, you're very correct. When I joined the party, a week or two after I joined the party, I did realize that I had been suckered into what we call a political quicksand. I got into a party that is known for political trading. Essentially, they lure up candidates into the party and then they trade the mandates of those people with bigger parties. So a party at that time for 18 years that had only one chairman, and this same party had not produced any candidate who or just one candidate, or I think one or two candidates who had done well in the election. But essentially what they were known for was trading the mandates of their candidates, especially the presidential candidates of the party. You remember the case of the late Ndaya, I can't remember his name. You know, it was their candidate, and just a few weeks to the election, they traded his mandate, you know, and that's really affected that man, you know. So that's what the party is known for. And when I realized what had happened to me, I went for the primaries. I will never forget what happened on the day of the primaries. The former chairman, Ralph Nwosu, on the day of the primaries, invited me to his hotel room with the chairman of the BOT there and said to me, well, I have owned this party for 18 years and now it seems like you are coming as a new sheriff and the people are here. It seems like you win the election, but I'm not willing to let go. You have to give me 1.something billion naira so that I can let go. And I just laughed as I said to him, I'm not desperate to be presidential candidate of this party. I don't have 100 million to give you, talk less of $1 billion or anything above that, you know. So that's not certainly not going to happen. If you don't want to do the primaries, it's up to you. I walked out of that meeting. But he was so desperate. But unfortunately for him, we had a lot of the delegates from northern Nigeria who were pressuring him that what's going on? Why are we not having our primaries? We're here waiting for hours, 5 hours we're waiting, 6 hours waiting. And he knew that there was going to be a major uprising there. And he was forced to go ahead with the primaries. And that's how I emerged as a candidate. A few weeks after my emergence as the candidate of the party, this same man came to me and said I should stop dealing with the state chairman of the party, that he is the alpha and omega, and if anything, I have anything for the chairman and I want to interface with the states, I should go through him. And the state chairman were not happy about this. Then a few days after that, we realized that his tenure as the chairman of the party had lapsed. And the state chairman said, you have to now step down, your tenure has lapsed. He came to plead with me to help him, save him. And I said, I can't do anything outside of the country.
Save him in what way?
In terms of helping him elongate his tenure. I'm pleading with the chairman to give him, to allow him continue, for us to have an amended NEC so that we could then allow him continue presiding over the affairs of the party. And I said, absolutely not. The chairman has signed on the constitution and it's not going to happen. The next thing he did, a few days later, I saw that he had an emergency NWC with an NWC that the tenure had lapsed, and said I was no longer the presidential candidate of the party, and the party had no presidential candidates, and that's how the whole fight that happened then happened, But again, what would interest you is that INEC played a very noble role in the whole affairs of the party, For INEC to have a situation where you have a chairman of a party to be there for 18 years. I know what they used to do then. INEC used to give these parties money, and so that's why you have people like Nwosu there. And then for what happened when the neck of the party said this man has to go, his tenure had lapsed, and INEC was dragging their feet. And when the chairman will go to INEC with their letters, INEC will not recognize them or accept their letters, and INEC will be telling them, "Oh, what's wrong with you guys? Why can't you guys go and trade like you normally would? Go and talk to Atiku, or go and talk to Tinubu. We can do this with you." That's what INEC was doing.
Giving them advice
to why don't you guys go work with the other major parties, APC or PDP? Why are you doing this? Why can't you just make your money? That's what the chairman were telling me that INEC was telling them. So the INEC was supposed to be an unbiased umpire. Essentially, was not prepared to do anything about this situation. I went into that election having INEC against me because INEC did not do what was right by my party, having people like Nwosu denouncing my candidature and saying they are trying to trade. A week or two before the election, I saw Nwosu and some of the ex-NWC members on a stage with Peter Obi saying that the party had endorsed Peter Obi. The next 24 hours, I saw another group of the party endorsing APC. Then I saw another group endorsing PDP. So that's what the party was known for. And I was very disappointed that people like Peter Obi, Atiku, and President Tinubu did not denounce this, did not chase these people away or say that they can't.
But why would they want to chase them away?
Because you know what? Politics is not about desperation. Politics has principles. What they did will not happen in any country where things are being done properly. We're a nation of anything goes. We accept anything and everything, and that's why we are where we are. We can't keep on saying we want to sanitize our affairs, and we see the things that are so little, and we allow those things go. You cannot claim that you want to be president of Nigeria, that you want to make better, and the process that gets you there is a dirty process. I will never have done that. I had people from another party approach me the same way. I said, absolutely out of the question. I'm not that desperate that I will now truncate the ambition of someone who is emerged through a free and fair primaries just because I want to be president. I will never do that. And so I was disappointed that this gentleman accepted to stand on the same stage with these people, and even there were allegations of giving them money and all of those things, and it's just it was just terrible. So this is what he did. We then went to court, and the court ruled that his tenure had lapsed. Justice Bintanyako of the Federal High Court ruled that his tenure had lapsed. He went on appeal, and appeal court said it's an internal party affair, and the party should resolve it. We then went to the Supreme Court. We went to Supreme Court till 3-4 months ago, when this whole issue of coalition. So sometime in November last year, some people are approaching me that they are discussing coalition. And I think the first person I heard from was my lawyer, Michael Zekome, who said to me, some people are discussing with him because he was representing us in the matter. And that they said they are talking, and he told them that, he can't discuss that with me. They have to find a way to reach out to me. Eventually, they did. If a close friend of mine came to me and pleaded with me for almost a month, can you please speak to these people?
Ahead of this, physical gathering and announcement,
yes,
you were approached to join the coalition.
They approached me not about necessarily joining the coalition. They were aware that we had a case before the Supreme Court. And for them to use the ADC as a vehicle, and you have a case before the Supreme Court, they didn't know which way the case will go. And they wanted me to withdraw that case so that they could use it.
Oh, you were the one that initiated the court case?
Yes. I sponsored the case before the Supreme Court, And so, even though I was not, my name was not there, but I sponsored the case. I briefed the lawyer. And so they needed me to withdraw the case so that they could use this party as a vehicle, And so I went for that meeting with some former ministers in the Buhari government, the former SGF, Babacha Lawal, and some other people, of northern extraction. And they told me about, all Tinubu's sins and all the things he's done and blah, 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 and that they say that the North is totally against him. They are all over the country. Nobody wants Tinubu, and they are doing everything. They will do everything to remove Tinubu, and said to me, but the only challenge we have right now is that this issue of this, and they want me to remove the issue. I said, okay. That I accept that we have major issues within Nigeria. I accept that there are people who feel certain about the president of Nigeria. But I want to ask you a question that is important to me.
Who were you asking at this time?
Babacha Lawal.
Okay.
I said, seeing that late President Buhari had, at that time, was very much alive. President Buhari had done 8 years, 2 terms of 8 years. And seeing that President Tinubu is in his first term, if you want to remove President Tinubu, will you accept that any coalition will produce a flag bearer of Southern extraction? And the immediate response was absolutely not. We're taking our power back and never making this mistake again.
And you are from the South?
I'm from the South. What surprised me was that I was not even the only person from the South who was there. A former minister from Imo State in the Buhari government was there. The person, my friend, who took me there was from the South, from the Southwest. And you watch this man saying something so insidious to me that never, that's out of the question. Essentially saying to me that as a Southerner, as an Igbo man from Delta State, that I'm a slave in my own country. That I can never aspire to the highest office in the land. And I was furious. I asked another question that, so essentially this coalition is being packaged for, because from everything that had been said, this Atiku was coming out next weekend, that this coalition was being packaged for Atiku Abubakar and all that stuff, that they wanted me to meet, and and they were now trying to camouflage and say, that at that point would say, I said, no, but from everything people have said, it's clear that it's all about Atiku Abubakar, I said, how does it make sense? How does this make sense to you guys? So I left them, walked out. And I knew that when we speak about the politics of this generation, this older generation, a politics of lies and deceit, a politics of religion and ethnicity, and that there's no change, there's no redemption for these people. Shortly after that, since they realized that they had messed up because they did not understand who I was, and that seeing that I was upset, they started going around the different party chairmen, state chairmen, who where their names were in the case before the Supreme Court, and said inducing these people with 500,000 naira for them to.
If I do remember clearly, why I say this is because I remember the build up of many interviews I've had with you. You often talk about the state party chairman. And significantly, some of these people had an inclination towards you, favorably towards you. And when you do say now that they're being offered 500,000 naira to change their position, which is to possibly withdraw their position in the Supreme Court, that means you do not possibly have the same type of support you had in ADC now, like you did the build-up of 2023.
Yes, that's correct. So because these people were being induced and they were being told and being convinced that Nigerians from all walks of life are against the president, and that if they got this 500,000 naira, that they are doing what is right, not only by themselves, by their families, but by the country, you know. And for me, I knew that, yes, this man, I didn't want to play a game where I will tell them, don't collect this money, I'll give them money, and then every day, every week, it will be that, oh, they're offering them money, and, you know, I did
your country balance.
Yes.
But you as a person, I know for sure that you're not keen on offering people money.
I am not. I like I said, I'm not that desperate to be president of Nigeria for me to do what I don't believe in. I'm desperate to change Nigeria, but I'm not desperate to be president. I'm not so desperate that I have to do what the people I'm trying to change are doing. There's no point. Do you understand? So I refused to play that game. They collected the money and they all started signing to withdraw from the case in the Supreme Court. But I knew that they were going down a very slippery slope. Why did I say slippery slope? The issue is this. It's not about the case in the Supreme Court. It's about the constitution of our party. So even if you are to withdraw the case from the Supreme Court, the issue is our constitution still states that for anybody to take up office as a party official, you ought to have been a member of the party for 2 years. So if these guys were to induce all the state chairmen, all the state official secretary, women, everybody, youth leaders, down to what level, local government level, right? It still will not change the fact that you need to be a member of the party for 2 years.
But they're technically playing to it when they say they're acting chairman, acting secretary.
Even at that, if a constitution that does not allow you to assume a position as substantive certainly doesn't allow you to assume that position as acting. I mean, so the intent of the law is what is clear. So I knew that they had this slippery slope to walk down. I also knew that ultimately the court case that they are avoiding will still come before them. If you say that your actions derive from Rafunwosu, who they believed was the party chairman, my case before the courts, before the Nigerian people is, can you build something or nothing? A man whose tenure lapsed over 2 years ago cannot hand over the party to you. 2 courts, Justice Bintanyako ruled, a court in Rivers State also ruled that his tenure had lapsed. 2 courts ruled. INEC refused to recognize the rulings of both those 2 courts because essentially, like I said, they have been trading with parties like this for a long time. So you have people in INEC who just, they're friends, they're bodies that have been doing this for a very long time. So INEC did not do what was right by our party. And essentially wanted to see the end all the way to the Supreme Court. I promised my party members one thing and one thing only. I said, you know what? For the fact I came into this party, I assure you people that what I have experienced, nobody will ever experience in this party. I'll ensure that these people never have anything to do with this party ever again. It's a promise I made to my party men.
It's interesting you make that promise. I was in Buhari Area Council here in Abuja some days ago, and I actually passed in front of one of the outlets, or should I say one of the party buildings you have there. everything seems updated to some of the recent people who have come in, including who's the chairman, Senator David Mark, and the likes of that, secretary of your party, Arek Beshola. I don't know if I would say your party, but those things have been updated, including some. I was on INEC website, and if my memory serves me right, I see this same update already going on. It is clear that the party has already been taken over.
I will say this to you very clearly. You cannot build something on nothing. The challenge before us, before them, is this. And we'll let the courts determine. Like I told you, INEC had played this game with them for the longest time. Right? I saw a few days ago where INEC said that, was speaking about the SDP, and that they are responding to a letter that had been written changing their chairman. And I laughed because the same INEC that responding on SDP has not responded on any letter written on ADC. Even letters
Are there letters written to INEC on ADC?
Yes, even letters recently written to them on ADC. Even letters asking them that clarify the position of INEC on Nwosu's tenure, on when Nwosu's tenure lapsed. Let me tell you something. You know what? I keep on saying this. They are walking down or running down a very slippery slope that only ends in one place: failure. You cannot build something on nothing.
Let's talk about building for a moment.
Yeah.
I looked through the constitution of your party.
Yeah.
I see at the ward level, you need just 1/5 of present members. Same thing applies at the local government level. And pretty much, I think, two-thirds at the state level for you to make some major changes from National Working Committee, State Working Committee, and the likes of that. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to change what the ADC is if by your constitution of the party, if you follow that through, it doesn't take a lot. And it also doesn't take a lot, from what I read from your party constitution, to also be a member. It means you show interest, you do not belong to another party, you pay your dues, and voila, you're a member of the party.
You've asked very brilliant questions. I'm happy you brought this. So here's the situation. It's very easy to do all those things, right? Ultimately, there has to be a head. And the situation with ADC is that there's no head. So to do every single thing you've mentioned, there has to be a head. There has to be a national working committee. There has to be a chairman of the party. And for 2 years, the party has had no chairman. So whatever they try to do, even if you try and amend the constitution of the party, it has to be done by a valid NWC. And that is where these people fail. 2 courts in 2 different jurisdictions did not make a mistake when they ruled that this man's tenure had lapsed. So there's nothing they will do that will make sense. Because ultimately, you still get to the point that Nwosu's tenure lapsed 2 years ago. There was no NEC. There has been no convention of the party. They've been trying to have a convention. In fact, they did 2 conventions. And INEC said, we're not recognizing this convention. Because the issue was, at that time, that's the only time INEC said, you can't organize a convention. Who is organizing the convention? Nwosu's tenure has lapsed. They tried to do something in Kano. And it failed. So, who then is the person transacting or dealing or giving any directives or instruction if there's no NWC? So that is the problem of the party. So we are facing special circumstances that our constitution never envisaged, that will have a lacuna within the party. So what then happens when you have a situation that our constitution does not envisage? The courts then mediate or midwife.
Are you comfortable with the courts
So
in Nigeria?
let me tell you this, right? No matter what we want to say about the courts, we have had 2 courts rule. Even if this gets to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court now says, okay, you know what, rules in their favor, but what will have happened is that we'll have fought a very, very just fight. We will have fought a fight, because what happens in Nigeria is that we never want to fight for what is just, what is equitable, and what is fair. We all give up before starting a fight. We all say, oh, you know what, we accept defeats. I'm not the kind of person. They all realize now, all these men realize now that they made a mistake in entering this party without dealing with these issues.
How do you know they realize?
Because they are reaching out to me through several people. There's absolutely nobody. It's absolutely, I mean, if you think who is who in Nigeria, people are reaching out to me. And I keep on saying this.
I wanted you to elaborate on the mistake. I mean, how did they come to establish that they made a mistake?
The mistake is that they believed that just by buying those chairmen to withdraw the case that they had solved their problem with the ADC. And I said to them, that was a big mistake. I'm not fighting a fight because I want to own the ADC like a cup or a pen or a phone. I'm fighting a fight because I believe that the ADC ultimately will be a vehicle for Nigerians who want genuine change, who desire change, who desire to make Nigeria a better place. That's a vehicle that can use to express their aspirations. That's why I'm fighting this cause. I believe it's a just cause, and these guys made a mistake in believing that the ADC will be a vehicle like any other vehicle. You see, they tried to do AD didn't work. They tried to go to SDP, saw that SDP they were going to have a fight with my friend that they were there, and they chased them out, and they then came to ADC where they believed that they had someone who was ready to transact, and that's why they felt, okay, you know what, oh, this guy can push him aside, let's transact, let's do this. And
Why do you think they're approaching parties as a vehicle? Because a lot of the parties that we know in Nigeria, there's party philosophy, party principles, things that define and solidify what a party is, essentially, in Nigeria and around the world. And when you do say use a party as a vehicle, it makes me curious enough to say it's about one point to another destination. So where do you think they're riding the party, currently ADC, from, and where are they riding it to?
A very good question. Again, is because the approach of these geriatric politicians is politics without philosophy, politics without ideas or ideals, politics that has no bearing, there's no manifesto, there's nothing that defines who they are. It's about grabbing power for their personal economies, power for the sake of power, power to prosecute age-old grudges, politics of North and South, of Christian and Muslim, It's not a politics that ever answers the question of our myriad problems. It's not a politics that ever speaks to who we are as a people, our national cohesion. It can never be a politics that says, oh, you know what? I mean, we've all watched in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks since they announced the so-called coalition. You've not heard these people speak once to any issue we have as a nation. All we've heard is that President Buhari has failed and has destroyed the country and this and that and that and that. Okay. Let's accept that President Buhari has President Tinubu has failed. Where he failed in education, what are your propositions? Where he failed in infrastructural deficits, what are your propositions? Where he failed in security, what are your propositions? Where he failed in the economy, what are your propositions? In any area you say this man has failed, what do you intend to do? Femi, you know what? I feel sorry for who we are as a people, as a nation. Nigerians keep on making the same mistake. If you talk to diplomats, they speak to you in confidence. People have given up on Nigeria. People watch this coalition emerge and saw Nigerians, this bandwagon effect. Oh yes, because it's always, you see, we always have this thing where we hate the big man, and when we see two big men fighting, we go with the underdog big man, and like what we did with Jonathan, gang up against Jonathan, get him out, and we got Jonathan out, and 8 years of President Buhari, 8 years of my life wasted with President Buhari. 8 years. Same gang up has come again. And what I've realized in recent times is that a gang up happens when it concerns smaller nationalities or sub-nationals. So Jonathan was an Ijaw man from the South. It was easy to gang up against him, right? And you threaten what was out there, say them blood of baboon and this and that and all those kind of things, And they gang up on President Jonathan. And if you think about all that he achieved in the area of agriculture, in terms of the economy, in terms of trying to remove subsidy, that they fought, can't remove subsidy. Every single thing he tried to do, they came in and did not do better. In fact, President Buhari took us back over 30 years. He reversed all the gains made since President Obasanjo. President Buhari's government was so bad that all he could do as his only solution to the economy was to borrow money. President Tinubu's greatest failure as a president is the fact that he's not been able to tell Nigerian people the truth.
And what truth would that be?
The fact that as a president, he's doing a cover-up for the APC's party. He came in as president of Nigeria to meet a situation where late President Buhari, has forward sold all the oil that we produced for the next 8-9 years.
But there's no evidence to that.
What do you say? There's no evidence to that. Yeah, I mean, FY is there. Nobody's denying it is there.
Have you seen some of this?
Of course. I mean, the records that you can approach the new GC of NNPC. It's not hidden. Everybody knows that. For you to take a loan, you have to have a collateral for your loan.
True that.
And the collateral for their loan was our production for the next 8-9 years for every loan they took. So this president came in. Remember that President Buhari did not provide for subsidy in the last budget before he exited.
Mm-hmm.
So President Tinubu now came in, and on the day of his swearing in, had this swagger, this whole, like I noticed that the guy I just felt like he was so excitable. And he announced that I'm removing subsidy. Because, himself, it will be Atiku that also said they will remove subsidy.
But I think you also did.
Never. I was never for the removal of subsidy. You have to understand the problem before you deal with the problem. I will not go in a direction that will affect hundreds of millions of Nigerians, over almost 200 million Nigerians. I won't take such a drastic action. What is the problem of subsidy if you individuals are abusing subsidy scheme? Why can't you investigate these people? Prosecute these people? And let it serve as a deterrent to others. It's never done.
That would have been what you would have done.
My approach was, worst case scenario, suspend subsidy for a period of 3 months. Reprocess it, make it stronger, make the system much better, bring technology in place on every single thing, and then reintroduce subsidy. Pain of three months. So that Nigerians from all walks of life don't suffer the removal of subsidy. That was what I advocated for throughout my campaign. President Buhari removed it and didn't make a song and dance about it. It was a slippery slope for the incoming president. But an appeal for him. And he came in and announced, I've removed subsidy. He didn't remove subsidy, because subsidy was not provided for. So it was a good opportunity for him to say, I have come to meet a situation that there's no subsidy in the budget. If I have to bring subsidy to take me a few months to prepare a supplementary budget and introduce subsidy, but for now we have to do without subsidy because it's not in the budget.
That is running speeches that run against some of these party men.
So you see, this is why I said the greatest failure of this president is that he was trying to protect his party men and protect a President Buhari, and he put them above the Nigerian people. That's his greatest failure. I will have let Nigerian people know the truth. I will let Nigerian people know that I have no income available to me from oil for the next how many years. And because I am facing this situation, I have to take subsidy out as a whole so that all Nigerians contribute towards paying back these loans that we're taking. I have to increase VAT or taxes because I need money to pay. If I don't have money from oil, I need money to pay salaries, take off infrastructure, take off all the other recurrent and capital projects. I have to increase duties, right? Customers have to increase duties on every single thing. We have to increase our IGR by all means, by every means necessary, because we need money. We don't have access to money from oil. I will explain to Nigerian people what I have met, what is before me. I will not cover up.
But don't you think Nigerians, we've listened to a lot of our leaders, and coincidentally in the last 10, 15 years, apart from President Buhari, who was a man of very few words, many of them have been quite outspoken about what they faced. The guy before me didn't do well. There are different ways of expressing this. But you're talking about the truth that President Tinubu is not expressing. However, he's also confidently talking about the gains he has made of subsidy, which is he has saved up money, now he can venture into this, venture into that. That is his own position, which is to say, there's money saved from subsidy, therefore I can do this, do that for Nigeria. And if that doesn't look like a trade-off of profit and loss, it looks like a profit to him.
Absolutely not. So remember again, let's look at this equation. Imagine if you had a situation where you remove subsidy and you had all these gains from removal of subsidy, and you still had money coming in from selling your oil, your crude oil. Isn't that a bigger gain for Nigerians? We don't have this money coming in from crude oil because of the loans we took. We took loans to build bridges and roads that led nowhere. We took loans to build railway and roads to go to Niger Republic. We took loans to fund unnecessary projects, while the common man has to pay back these loans. That's the reality of who we are. You see something, when I'm speaking, reality is that I do understand that I'm speaking to a people whose minds are imprisoned. I'm speaking to Renchi. You understand? Like, no matter what you say, if you were to go to ballots today, in Nigeria today, we'll see a situation where the man we know is the man we know. Tinubu will still be number one choice. They know him. They know that Tinubu,
despite this gang up.
Trust me on this. Go to the polls today. The man they know is the man they know. Number one is President Tinubu. Number two will be the faces. Remember, it's about subliminal persuasion. These are brands that they have known for the last 3-4 decades. People who have ruled us for decades. You know them. You don't have, for me, I have to have probably 50,000 such interviews for Nigerians to hear me, to see me. Those people are brand names because they have been government officials.
Which makes it interesting because, I mean, I view the issue of the coalition in another way. I mean, it's been a very undefining moment to try to define what the coalition is about, considering the brand of politics each of these individuals have played. But then when I think about the names I grew up listening to, and I know for sure, Senator David Mark, former Governor Aregbesola is also involved. Peter Obi is likely involved. And I use this word because the fluidity.
He's involved, he was there with them.
Yeah, because they've been trying to define whether he's leaving or not leaving and the likes of that. Then you have Atiku Abubakar as well. These are big people when it comes to politics in Nigeria. And something tells me that the assembly of these big politicians is also an endorsement of the credibility that they bring to the ADC. That is to say, Nigerians, all of you who support us as individuals, now there's a place where you can support us together as a group. We are all endorsing one candidate. Whosoever that is, just get behind us in ADC.
Okay. So I love the question you're asking. So you mentioned these people, David Mark, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Aregbesola, and all those things. People who have ruled us for the last 3 decades, like I said. And Nigeria today is not a mini Dubai. Nigeria today is not a mini Joburg or mini Cape Town. Nigeria today is not a mini London. Nigeria is not a mini anything that you can point to in the world space that you say, oh, these nations are working. These nations look this way. This is that. But yet we point to the same people who've led us for the last 3 decades, who've held sway at the helm of affairs. And we see that the same people who set our nation on fire are the same people who are going to put out the fire.
But they are the same people that people recognize, because you just talked about the most recognizable names.
You see, that's why I use the word that, it's called Stockholm Syndrome. Having an affinity to those who hold you captive. That's what is going on in Nigeria. So you ask yourself a question. Understand that there's a Stockholm Syndrome effect going on in this situation. Do I say, I'm 51 years old. Do I say that I grew up watching these men? I was a student union activist. I remember the late head of state Abacha declaring me wanted dead or alive because I fought his government. I led students out of Uniben then. And do I say that I watch a situation where I have fought for this country, fought for the betterment of Nigerians, and say, you know what? Nothing can ever come out of this. Let me japa. Let me know what, if you can beat them, join them. Just do nothing.
What will it take to join them?
You said what?
What will it take to join them?
Let me tell you something. You know what? I have absolutely nothing in common with these people. I believe in the future of Nigeria.
But you have Nigerians as the common factor.
Tell you what, you know something, education, information will get to a point where people start asking questions. I believe in the potential of a younger generation of Nigerians who are doing something, creating something out of nothing, whose potentials have been limited. But they said, despite and in spite of all this, we'll do something. We will not let you beat us. We'll do something. And if you look at how Nigerians from all walks of life, they leave Nigeria and they are doing the nation proud. They are making things happen. They are showing workings, right? Tell you what, these people have all it takes to make Nigeria a better place. And where my generation has failed, because my generation has ultimately failed because we didn't challenge our fathers and our grandfathers to the point to say, leave us alone. Take your neck, your feet off our necks. We won't take this anymore. Enough is enough. My generation did not fight. We gave up. My generation is a generation that all you have to do is call somebody and say, I give you local government, I'll give you this, give you that, you contract, whatever they offer you, that's the end. And you know your family member is there, that's the end. Nobody, immediately they give you small soup to lick in my generation, you give up the fight. And that's why my generation has not fought. But you see, this younger generation is a battle generation. The revolution Shore talks about, it's not our generation decision. Trust me, right?
The revolution, that reminds me of Shore.
Shore's revolution talks about, it's not our generation that will lead this revolution. No, it's not distant. You know what? Watch and see. We can continue down this slope. But you know what? This generation, the generation that are selling their mothers and fathers, selling their siblings to make money, that are so desperate that they will do anything to survive. They wake up one day and realize that we sold everything, we destroyed everything. Those people up there that created a situation for us, they're the only people remaining, we'll take them on. All die and I die. All of us will die if we have to die. That is where we're coming to in this country. It's not our generation. We're scared. You know what? I see, anytime they call for a protest, how many people do you see? My age group, do you see they're going? No. We have so much to lose. Big men or people of my generation, they can only speak about government and governance in their houses, in their comfort zones, But when it comes to fight, you will never see them there.
Should they be fighting? And why I do ask this is
yes,
because in generation after, before you learn things from them.
When you have a situation where dialogue will not happen, where they will not give you a seat on the table, where they will discountenance everything you are and are about, you get to a point where you are so desperate to say, I need to survive. When you are in a country where I am told that as an Igbo man, I can only aspire to a certain level. I cannot go beyond this because I'm an Igbo man, because I'm a Christian, because I'm this and that. You get to a point, you say, you know what, all die and I die. What the heck? I'm not going to take this. That is where we're coming to in this country. When you have a situation where people come together and say, I was going somewhere earlier on in my trajectory.
Oh, yes.
Where people come together and say, you know what, you bully a sitting president because of southern extraction. After all, how many southwest states are there? Bully him. Get him out of there. We can burn this country down. 8 years of Buhari destroyed this country. Let me ask you a question, FemiD.
Okay.
What did he not say?
Nothing. They were quiet, especially the NGF.
Absolutely nothing. Okay, let's go beyond the not. What did we in the South say?
There was just a lot of rumbling.
Grumbling, but could anybody dare to challenge Buhari's government? In opposition in PDP was there. In fact, if you notice, maybe President Buhari was sworn into office. What's his name? Odisametu wanted to be like Eli Mohammed and be a thorn in the flesh of government. He did it just 2 weeks. He was arrested. EFCC picked him up. They kept him there for how many weeks? That was the end of anybody speaking from PDP against that government. They arrested opposition en masse. Secondus, who was not arrested by Buhari's government, we are speaking about one-party state. They went after opposition, and that was the end of opposition. 8 years of Buhari's government in PDP Who was speaking? Only one man, Wike. Only Wike was speaking. But tell you what, you know what? Google is your friend. Watch my statements. I spoke against that government consistently for 8 years.
But some would say you're also very well protected, which brings me to the issue of whether you're fearful or not fearful.
Let me tell you something. You know what? I keep on saying this. I said I was once declared wanted dead or alive by a military head of state. It is a way of life for me. You are only as rich as your neighbor. So no matter what you have, as long as you have someone in want next to you, you are only as rich as that person. Buhari's government, one that was here, they came in here with bulldozers, destroyed properties here. I never went to the media. It's my fight. It's my loss. But I will stay on course. I don't believe in that fight. This ADC matter, you guys are hearing this ADC matter because these guys, I spoke about what they are doing and they are making media affair. That's why I don't fight my fight that way. They will only see that they are not able to do anything with that party. I fight my fight. I fight consistently. I assure you, at the end of this fight, we will see who is standing. 8 years of President Buhari, I fought that fight. There's nothing, there's no threat. Like all the threats I'm getting right now, every single thing. Is normal.
You're getting threats at this moment?
Absolutely. My workers are even being threatened. They threaten my worker, tell them, oh, you guys tell your boss this, blah, 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 blah. You see, Nigerians take this uninformed, passionate approach to things. They know no better. The question I'm asking them to ask President Buhari is, the suffering we're going through now, right now, as a nation.
President Tinubu?
So President Tinubu. Ask President Tinubu, why are we suffering this? Why can't you tell the nation what you met? Tell them how you are struggling to raise money to make sure that we have money for capital projects, we have money to pay salaries, what you have to do because this is our true situation. Let Nigerians know that for every tough decision you take, it was because you've met a certain situation. Do you know why he cannot do that? When this president speaks against President Buhari, the late President Buhari, it's against his party. Number two, there are people who still deify President Buhari, even though I still question that when I saw people rejoicing at his death in his home state. But the so-called 12 million voters that he had, that people believe that he has these people, do you want to speak against that man and have those his people go against you? But I always say this, I have said this several times today, all die and die. You go forward, you die, you go backwards, you die. Why don't you go forward and die? You've taken tough decisions that already say that it's his fault to get you elected. You remove subsidy. You've increased energy tariffs. You've increasing taxes. You're making tax collection more efficient. It's touching a lot of people. Every day, as we speak, when he came into office, to clear a 40-foot container was probably about 5 or 6 million naira. To clear a 40-foot container today is anywhere from 18 to 22 million naira. Tough decisions that ensures that or makes it very difficult for you to get re-elected. Having come this far, what are you afraid of?
So if I do put in perspective what you've said, you're saying Tinubu is making good calls, but he's not explaining, he's not transparent about his calls or his decision making. And it makes me kind of follow through with the interest on you're an intellectual activist. I mean, we chat often. I see some of your thoughts about don't be afraid, don't go to that technical fear of silence and nobody locks you out from saying the truth, either in your family mode or whatever size there is. And I'm thinking, what if Tinubu were to reach out to you at this point in time and says, you know so much about the ADC, you know so much about what everybody's trying to build up, which is on nothing, like you mentioned. And he says, align with me to a measure, align with my politics, let me understand your politics. We all know he's very good when it comes to consensus and building bridges. He probably would reach out to you, especially because he doesn't think much of the coalition. He'll probably reach out to you to say, well, continue what you're doing. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. What do you make of some level of alignment with President Tinubu, knowing fully well that some of the things he's going forward on, you agree with them, except the fact that you think he's not transparent about why he's doing that?
Okay, you've asked another very brilliant question. Shortly after President Tinubu was sworn in, you saw they were playing around with names of ministers, and people. Yeah, there was a leak list, and my name was there, and all that kind of stuff. And people asking me, oh, you know what? Oh, you are one of the people that are considering for a ministerial position and all of that stuff. And I was laughing. There was a lot of conversation going on in the background. But I'll tell you this: what my position was then and is today. God forbid that young men who come after me, who aspire for office, who aspire to office, to make genuine change, will believe that you run for office so that you are settled with a position in government. My not accepting a position has nothing to do with the government. It's about those who are coming after me. It's for people to believe that if you fight for a cause and fight all the way. You might not get there in the first shot, but you have several opportunities to continue trudging along until you get to where you go. You fail until you succeed. And when you succeed, like I said, you succeed until you get to perfection's door. That's why I oppose his government, but whilst I oppose his government in areas where I feel he's not getting it right, I propose. I will tell you something that one of the biggest issues of Tinubu's government that is the issue of Yoruba-centric appointments. Tinubu made a very, very big mistake in how he approached that issue. Nigerians are not informed people, like I keep on saying. From the military era, when Abiola won an election and was not sworn in, and then you had Nadeko, you had a lot of Yoruba leading lights leave the country on exile, the Yoruba nation lost a lot in government, just like what happened to the Igbo people after the Civil War. We hear the Igbo story, but we never hear the Yoruba story. So the Yoruba people had essentially a glass ceiling everywhere. They could not get to certain places. And when they got there, only a few people, only a few slots were given to Yoruba people. Then President Obasanjo came in, sponsored by Northern Leading Lights, Northern military men, and he played the politics of being president of all Nigerians. And whereas he had the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, but one thing they did not do, commission, one thing they did not do was look at what happened to Yoruba nation in the years of anti-military rule. They didn't touch it. So he did 8 years and did not do anything to show undue favoritism or to address the imbalance where the Yoruba nation they were concerned. 2 years of Yar'Adua, nothing was done. 6 years of President Jonathan, nothing was done. And the Yoruba people as the people are sitting, they are upset. They look at the situation and like wondering, for example, if you look at INEC as an institution, a Yoruba man has never held that position one day. So many positions like that you stay and Yoruba man has not, just like what happens to the Igbo people. And President Tinubu came with that graph. When President Tinubu was speaking at Emilokon, my turn. So he was not just speaking about my turn for himself, about my people. But here's where we are different. I would have approached that situation through a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where people see the injustice against my people, where it's clear to everyone that look at the statistics. So that if you are doing anything, people understand where you are coming from. Not a situation where people believe that Buhari did this same rubbish and you come and follow suit. No. So he made that mistake because he didn't approach or educate or inform Nigerians. This is what the issue is with my people. Remember this. President Jonathan was run out of office. Let me tell you, I'm in Abuja. I've been in corridors of power for close to 3 decades. I'll tell you a secret. You know what his greatest sin was?
What was it?
He made an Igbo man chief of army staff.
As President Jonathan made an Igbo man
chief
was his greatest sin.
People believe they'll say his greatest sin, political sin, is that he made an Igbo man chief of army staff.
Why?
That is the country we live in. That is the unjust country, nation we live in, an inequitable nation we live in. That his greatest sin as a president was that he made an Igbo man. Not only made what's his name? Iheji Kami, chief of army staff. He then brought another man from River State, Minima, made him minister. But Minima is also Igbo. I mean, you can say Minima is also Igbo. And made him chief of army staff. That's his sin. That is why he had to go. Do you know, in political circles, you know what one of Tinubu's biggest sins is today?
What would that be?
He made Wike a Southerner, Minister of FCT.
You think Wike is his undoing?
Let me tell you, when Nigerians understand the delicate nature of who we are as a people, the no-go areas, this North and South divide, what goes on in the back rooms where we don't really understand, we will see things differently. There are things you do and you say, how dare you? How can you? Just something so simple. How dare you make a Southerner minister of FCT? If you look at FCT are majors of indigenous tribes, like the Buhari and all these people, you know, it's not necessarily a Hausa Fulani, whatever it is, but you know what? But they claim this place, they claim ownership of this place, you know. And watch a situation where the same thing they now did to Jonathan, right? What happened to Jonathan? Kidnappings increased, issues of insecurity, did the Chibok girl issue, all of those things, and all over the world they are hearing killings are happening, all these things, and the government has lost control. Then you start having bombings. What have you seen recently? Are you not seeing bombings again? Are you seeing number of people who have been killed in Jos Plateau, in Benue, in recent times? It's the same playbook. And as that is happening, everybody saying, this man's government is so inept, this man is a useless president, he's this, he's that, and blah, blah, blah. People don't understand that there are forces, there are people pulling strings behind that are causing this disaffection and all those things. We watch it happen with Jonathan's government. I remember warning so many times then. I remember before Chibok girls happened, right? I run what they call Nigerian Public Safety Network, and I remember writing, I even wrote then, that these are the things ought to do for this thing, because anybody who's thinking how these people think, you ought to know where they're going to come from. I knew that those kidnappings will happen. I knew they're going to do a lot of things to damage that government, and it happened, and Nigerians believe this man has to go. He went. Another came, a much worse president who spoke. You know what happened? NSAS. When the politicians could not do anything about that government, the youth decided to do NSAS. I will tell you something. Before NSAS happened, there was this issue happening in Abuja about police arresting prostitutes, raping them, and all those things. And I was in the forefront. I was pushing those stories out. I was pushing stories of police arresting all these Yahoo boys. And then my media organization, Roots CBI, I was doing a lot with that, letting people see what was happening with that. And after a while, there was this groundswell. Then NSAS and people said all those things happened. NSAS happened, right? All those people were killed. What is the fate of their families today? It's the same Buhari I saw giving all the national honors and how he was buried and everything. Nobody spoke about the hundreds who died during NSAS. Nobody thinks of those families. You see, there's so much injustice in our country because we're a fearful people. We don't want to speak the truth. I always say this, you know what? I have 8 children. When people say young, listen, I have 8 children. If I die while advocating for good governance, for equity and justice in this country, it's a worthy death. There's nobody who won't die someday. There are people who die just after they are born. Death is something that happens to all men. But you know what, something? Let it be known that I stood for something. Let it be known that I was not cowed, that I'm not fearful of a man born of woman just the way I am. I'm not that person. So it will never be, a coalition is never going to scare me. As far as I'm concerned, they are a gang. I will leave you with this. The Bible, we had a situation where the people said, give us Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Caesar heard the people saying, give us Barabbas. And Caesar gave them Barabbas. The people said, give us APC, give us APC, give us APC. He drove out Jonathan and gave them APC. The people are here again saying, give us coalition, give us coalition. Will we continue having a vocal minority determine our fate as a people? Or will we get to a situation where the silent majority who reason things, who process things, who ought to know better, when they pick up faith, when they pick up an inner strength, where they say to themselves, we cannot continue like this, and speak against the injustice we face in our land. That time has come where we make that determination. Femi D, I know you must have other questions, but I'm sorry, my time is off.
Well, a big thanks to you. Well, we'll be speaking with Dumebi Kachikwu. Mr. Dumebi Kachikwu, he was the ADC presidential candidate in 2023 election. There's so much to cover, but this is a special one on Volume with FemiDlive. We're grateful to everybody who's watching. Please keep your comments on. You also will be on the platform to read some of the things you're writing and your opinion, your comments. Go and subscribe, and we'll love to read from you. Thank you so much for joining in on Volume with FemiDlive. Thank you for your time.